are so happy everybody is here for World Sickle Cell Day. We wait all year for this day, and it is finally here, our 24-hour global marathon. So before we get started with this panel, I would like you all, if you're listening, definitely share this event with someone else because I know you're enjoying yourself. I know it's been amazing seeing people from all around the world. So just you can send a text to somebody and you can let them know how to join. The link is tinyurl.com/register 2025 WSCD. So if you could share this event, that would be great. And then I want all of my co-authors to join me on this stage so that we can talk. We are excited to join you today and have an amazing conversation. We have some really terrific authors here today, and some you may never have met before. So it's a real treat. So welcome, everybody. Welcome,
Morning.
Jenica. Good
Hi.
morning, Chris.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Naomi. So I want each of
Morning.
you to take a moment and introduce yourself. So we're going to start with Jenica because you're right beside me. If you can start with introducing yourself, then we're going to go to Chris, and then we're going to go to you, Naomi.
Okay, thank you for having me. First of all, this is a fantastic event that you guys have been doing. I just think it's amazing. My name is Janika Leah. I am an award-winning author of two children's books that are all about sickle cell, which is called My Friend Jen. That namesake is also the name of two nonprofit organizations, one which is based in the UK and the other which is based in Jamaica, representing the Caribbean. And those organizations are aimed at raising awareness and promoting education through resources and engagement in all of these communities, both in the UK and in the Caribbean. I am also the president of the European Sickle Cell Federation, which is a pan-European organization that focuses on empowering organizations that are in specified countries across Europe so that we can move together in unity, in one united voice to help to promote policy change, access to medications, access to treatments, and everything that we need. So we realize that, collaboration is key. So yes, aside from that, I'm also a speaker. I used to be a model, and I'm also a publisher. So that's me.
Amazing.
That, that's hard road to follow. It's hard road to follow. Okay, well, I don't have all that extra stuff, but my name is Chris Sweet. I'm a sickle cell survivor. I had a stem cell transplant in 2011, and so this is my first go around with an actual children's book. I did write a book originally called "A World You Didn't Know." My first book, children's book, is this book, and I went a different way. I want it to be more about imagination and what we can do because as warriors, we have to think outside the box and we have to use our imagination. And so many times we're stuck in that place and we're stuck in the hospital for weeks on end sometimes. And using your imagination helps you get through some of the hardest times in life. And so I felt it was important that kids knew to do that. And being in technology and being technologists, I've seen kids just focus on the tablet, the screen, this thing that they click every second of the day, and they never focus and think about things. And I tell you all the time, I said, you think about other parts of the world where they don't have as much technology and how much they invent things because they have to invent things. They have to think about how to make this work, how to take trash and build a windmill, how to take, stuff that nobody else wants and build something. And I think it's important. And so that's why I wrote this book and I bring it to you today.
Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here with my colleagues, we could say, our co-authors. My name is Naomi Aislinn. I am a mother, author, as well as pastor and advocate. So a few years ago during the pandemic, while having conversation with my sons. I have three wonderful boys, and two who have sickle cell disease. And my husband and I, we've decided to write a children's book. One thing about my kids, they love superheroes and they love having powers and this and this and that. And through our bedtime stories, I used to always tell them that they were superheroes. So we've decided to write a book, and it's about three superheroes who are fighting the evils of this world through something called hemoglobin. And it's really to kind of encourage. The point of having writing this book was to really encourage children who are going through sickle cell, especially through blood transfusion, to let them know that the blood transfusion is your superpowers. And in the book, that's exactly what it's related. So it's really to help kids who have to go through all of the hospital stays and you know the ups and downs of just having sickle cell, but always finding a way to encourage them, to let them know that they are stronger than they know. And that was the whole point of writing the book. And since then, we've been able to advocate on sickle cell disease all over Canada, in parts of from Quebec all the way to Ontario and further down Canada, and really bringing awareness to sickle cell disease. So I'm very glad to be here with you guys today, and I can't wait to share.
Thank you so much. So I know everybody is listening in the chat. And while I introduce myself, if you could take a moment and let us know if you've ever thought about writing a book. So while you're doing that, I am also a caregiver, just like Naomi. I have twin daughters. One has sickle cell SS. I live in the USA. But specifically, I live in the state of Maryland, and I am the marketing manager for Cayenne Wellness Center. So I am always looking for ways to advocate. And so one of the things that I did some time ago is publish a children's book. And so I actually have three books that are specifically about sickle cell disease for children. And my latest book is actually for adults, and it's called I Believe in Therapy. So that book, we will be talking about it a little bit later tonight. So definitely come back and hear more about that one. But like everybody mentioned, I seek to educate and inspire, but to make sure that our young people have representation and that they feel like they can look at the characters and they honestly reflect them. So that was something that was really important to me. So without further ado, I just shared what was important to me. I want to know, everybody, what inspired you to write your book about sickle cell?
I'm happy to start. For me, the inspiration just came from my own journey. So I also have sickle cell SS, and I feel like the journey that I went through with sickle cell from a young child right up until adulthood was it was difficult because I didn't understand what sickle cell was. I knew I had hospital appointments, I knew I had something called sickle cell. But when children would ask me, where have I been? Why can't I play outside if it's cold? Why I wasn't allowed to do certain things? I didn't have the confidence or the understanding to explain that to anyone. And so I feel like that made me quite isolated as a child. And with all the various complications that I went through then in my teenage years, I had a stroke, I experienced gallstones, I needed a hip replacement, all of these things that I thought I would be able to hide the fact that I had sickle cell then just became too loud for me to hide. So I felt like if I created something that would give children the confidence and empower them to speak about sickle cell, then that would mean that they wouldn't have the same experience that I did. They'd be more empowered, they'd just have peace of mind. And it also helps for everyone around them, that village, to be able to advocate for them as well, because they can read the book once and also understand basic things about sickle cell. So I wanted to change for the next generation. I think that's in summary what the reason why I wrote my book or books.
Okay. Well, the reason I wrote this book, it's similar to what she said as well. I went through so much with sickle cell, um, and finally having the transplant was a big change. But when I started thinking about this book, I thought about who I wanted to impact, who did I want to see it, who did I want to think about it, and who was I thinking about mostly? And mostly I thought about my children because none of them have the disease, they all have the trait. But I wanted them to use their imagination, and I didn't want to um, although they've seen sickle cell and I bring it to them every time and I'm involved in this and that and the other, um, sometimes we as warriors need a break. We do. It sometimes need to step away from it for a minute. And my first book that I did was from an adult perspective because I looked at all the disparities that we have as people with sickle cell. This book is more fun, more imagination. Uh, it's more for kids to understand and get behind because we've got to think through these problems of today. And we need our kids to start thinking. Stop looking and watching, start thinking. So that's pretty much why I wrote this book.
That's my inspiration for writing this book. As I mentioned, I have three boys, and two of them have sickle cell disease. And I'm remembering when they were a lot younger and they had to go through blood transfusion. I remember I used to always tell them to kind of encourage them, "Hey, you're going to go get your superpowers. You're going to go get your superpowers." And then at night, I would kind of develop that character with them. Until my husband said, you should put that on to actually read it, but also for them to have the opportunity for them to be able to share their story, but according to their own words, which is at the time, my youngest was 4 years old. 4 years old. But I kind of wrote the book for my 6-year-old. Since he was just kind of starting first grade and people would ask him questions, just like Janika had mentioned, why are you not at school today? Why are you taking. So it was just a way for them to even start a conversation about sickle cell, but at a young age, using their own wording and also using imagery, such as superheroes and stuff like that for them to be able to explain. And for me, it was really important for my children to be able to understand that the disease was not the sum total of who they were, right? That they had, they could actually go after their dreams and whatever aspiration they had. So writing the book and also talking about representation was really, really important for me. And when I wrote the book, when I published the book and it came out, it was a month before George Floyd that had happened during the pandemic. So seeing three Black boys on a book not only opened door for me to talk about sickle cell, but it gave me the opportunity to talk about representation in books, in superhero books. And I was able to also take this opportunity to also speak about sickle cell in different places where usually they would not talk about sickle cell. So it really was an opportunity for us to use the book, use our story, because I believe that all of us who go through, you could be a warrior mom and you have warrior kids, or you yourself are dealing with sickle cell. We all have a story to tell. We all have something to say. And writing the book for me was just an opportunity for me to write our story.
I love it. I love what everybody said because I feel like it all resonated with me. When I wrote my first book, it was really right after my daughter had her very first crisis. And because I mentioned that I had twins, I needed to explain to both of my kids what was happening. But I needed to use words they understood on their level. And so that's how I started writing my first book. It was really with my own children in mind. And it really blossomed. So that's kind of what I'm going to transition to. How does that blossom? Because here we are all talking about our different journeys. You talked about George Floyd, and I feel like sometimes what's happening in the world does impact our drive to publish. So for each of you, I know you, Naomi, you mentioned that you started publishing during like 2020. So did any of you face any challenges? All of the passion that we have is very clear, but to have an idea and then publish that book, those are two different things. And so what challenges did you face during the writing or publishing process?
I think for me, the challenge was having the courage to write it, because it was going to also be an opportunity for us to expose ourselves to the world, right? Not everybody knew that we were going through what we went through, right? So it was, I think the biggest challenge for me is like, I know if I write this book now, not only my close family, friends will know about our story, but the world is going to know about our story. And at that time, my kids were also young. So I'm like, how is that going to impact my children now that it's been published, it's out there? So I think for me was my first challenge was to have the courage to write it, and allowing myself to be vulnerable, to sharing that story. And once I was able to kind of pass that barrier, then I realized that all of the fears that I had about publishing this book, it kind of just went down, because I was so surprised how people were so open to hearing my story, hearing the story of my children, really giving me the opportunity and our family to really advocate for sickle cell. I think the first thing that, and I want to encourage everyone, because I saw some people that said that they want to publish, whatever voices you hear in your head that is telling you, oh, you're going to have this challenge, or maybe people are not going to receive it. I'm realizing that it's just kind of a blockage, but the minute that you kind of go over that, you'll notice that, or you'll realize that people actually want to hear your story. People actually want to hear your journey. So I just want to encourage everyone who has a heart to write a book, write the book, and write the book, and and you'll see and you'll see that there's so much blessing that comes out of our story. But you just have to have the courage to just write it.
For me, my hardest part was finding resources to do the artwork, because unfortunately, when you do a children's book, you do have to have pictures. There's no children's book with just words. It's not going to work. So I mean, I had having all these lofty ideas, and not knowing exactly how to get to the end point. That was my struggle, because I looked at AI, which a lot of us have looked at AI, and I couldn't get consistent artwork. So what I ended up doing was I ended up finding a family member that was able to do the artwork. And this young man, amazing artist. I mean, he has like a mix of anime, non-anime. I mean, it's just a mix of styles. But that's the thing. And then, like she said, if you want to write the book, write the book. Write the book. There's always space out here for new creative people to put out, and I think that's one thing that we can do. That there's no guideline on, as far as you have to be well to do it. You got to be this to do it. Listen. I know working in the workforce is not an easy thing. This is something that you can do and not be in the workforce, and I know you have the imagination to do it, because we're sitting right here in front of you. We've got it. And if you can fight through the sickness and pain and transfusions and surgeries that you go through, then you could do this. This is actually a lot easier than that, because with that comes pain. With this, there's no pain. There's just frustration and doubt, but you get that anyway. Life be life.
Everything that everyone has said is so true. I echo what they said. My experience with writing was slightly different. So I published my book in 2016, but I started with the idea and writing maybe towards the end of 2014, which was after I had my hip replacement, which was kind of like the motivation for me to create something. And I really wanted to go down the traditional publishing route. So I wanted my book to be published by a publisher so that it would help with the marketing, getting the message out there, raising awareness. And that was my goal. So I approached publishers, I approached literary agents to represent me, and those doors just kept closing and closing. I was hearing things like, it's a great book, but there's not really a need for the book. No one's going to buy it, that kind of stuff. And as someone living with a condition and understanding how that impacts you, it can be really hard hearing someone say, like, there's no need for it, because we live with these conditions. We understand and see the need for resources like this, for education, for books, so that the whole world can learn more about sickle cell. So I eventually then went down the self-publishing route, and just decided that, my story needed to be heard, and I knew it was going to have an impact. And I did, and it did. So I think just to anyone that is having any doubts, not just our own self-doubt, which we do have, I think we all have it, but also from other people. I say this, whoever wants to be upset with what I'm about to say can be, but my biggest supporters were not my friends and family. They were actually other people, external charities, organizations that have bought my book in bulk, that have assisted in promoting, in sharing, and all of those sorts of things. So your immediate people are not always going to be the ones to empower you and motivate you, but that doesn't mean that the story that you have or the story that you're thinking of writing is not going to make an impact and is not important. So I would just encourage everyone to. And self-publishing is great for maintaining your royalties, guys. So, they be paying the bills.
I want to touch on what you just said, because all four of us are self-published authors. And I think there was a time when people kind of looked, may have frowned a little bit at independent publishing and self-published authors, but that has completely changed. It has completely gone out the door, and we are proudly proclaiming to be self-published authors. And that's something that all of you in the chat, I see Dana said, yes, I have considered authoring. So we are telling you that it is within your grasp. You can do it. And being a self-published author is an honor. It is a privilege. It is taking your thoughts, taking your passion, taking that impact that you have in your own hands and allowing you to educate your community by something you know without a shadow of a doubt is helpful. And so you also use the word, Janika, about impact. And I know that each one of us on this panel have heard from readers who have been impacted by our stories. And so that's what I want to unpack now. How have readers responded to your work? Because that's really what fuels us to keep being an author, to keep talking about being an author, to keep sharing our books and writing more. So I want to start with Chris.
Well, this book is actually fairly new, so it's kind of in the infant stages. But what I've been hearing the most is just loving the artwork and the amount of visualization that the person went into that actually designed all the artwork for the book. I mean, the book is called Captain Nosy Cat in the Great Cabin Adventures because the reception is that we don't think like they think. They see things that we don't see. So the imagination that went into the story, of course, carried into the artwork. So that's, for me, is a focal point, because I'm like, who would have thought that any of this is possible? But all things are possible if we're willing to try, and if we have faith in God that it'll get there. But that's been the biggest point so far. I mean, the book just came out, so it's very recent. So that's the impact I'm seeing. I'm seeing the impact from people understanding and seeing that, hey, I can do this. And I think that's the biggest impact, is when people say, hey, I want to make a book, I want to write a book. How do I do it? What's the process? What's available out there? Because, like was mentioned, publishers, unless they vet you or they come to get you, they're not coming. And you have to have a pretty successful product before people start knocking on your doors. I mean, that's the same thing in the music industry. Before there was Apple Music and all these other platforms you can stream on, you had to go to their doorstep and beg them to let you in the door. Now we hold the keys to the door. we can kick you wide open and do whatever we want to do, however we want to do it, and represent ourselves the best way we can, because we're thinking about ourselves first and what's best for our brand and what's best for our product, what's best for the people who are going to buy our product. We're not always motivated by money. Where you have big companies, they're motivated by money. They see from one perspective. They don't see the whole area. They see one little bitty piece, and they told her, "Oh, you nobody's gonna buy that book. It's a good book." No, and they're wrong. They are wrong because people buy it because they want to know about other people who are going through the same struggles that they're going through. And so, like I said, the biggest impact for me is the artwork so far.
Thanks for sharing. Janika. You're muted.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't find the mute button. For me, I would say the biggest impact is exactly the intended impact, the impact that it's had on young children. We have an advocate in Birmingham. Tayshalise is, I think she's 11 now, but my books were released like 2016, and she is, if I could like have her as just like my marketing person, it would be amazing because she did story times during COVID. She was like, I'm reading for all the children. And she's been able to use that book not only to give her confidence along about her own journey with sickle cell, but also the confidence to see that, you know what, this is someone that I can look up to. Representation is really important. This is someone that I can look up to that is being vocal about their condition, and I'm going to do the same. And so she started her YouTube channel. She, writes her own poems. She does fundraisers for other charities across Birmingham. And I think that in itself is amazing. So it's not just the book and the impact that that has, but it's also how that then translates into confidence, and then what that confidence looks like in the world. That's, more advocates starting from such a younger age. I never would have had the confidence to do that when I was 6 or 7 when she started. But we're seeing more and more young people having the confidence to speak out. And that's what we need. We need more awareness. We need everyone to be more loud, more vocal, and we need to amplify all of our voices so that we can make a difference. So I think for me, the biggest impact is just the children that see, believe that it's possible to do something like this and create their own path out of that.
Uh, yes, I think for me, the biggest impact, as I mentioned, when I wrote the book, it was during the pandemic, and it was a month after the George Floyd incident that happened. And with that momentum, I was able to, um, we went on a media tour, so we were able to speak to 20 media channels within Canada. So from national news, from local news, and everything else. And it was really the opportunity to bring awareness to sickle cell, bring awareness to not only our story, but just sickle cell in general and all of our patients. And with the book, we were able to bring it to our children's hospital. They actually use the book, and also to encourage new patients that are coming in, or that are newly diagnosed with sickle cell. So the impact has been exactly what Janika had said, like exactly what we expected it to be, is to bring um, awareness throughout our country and different cities. And the book gave us the opportunity to really speak to a demographic of people. I had Janika, you said something so powerful, that most of your support was not necessarily friends and family, but people from outside. And a lot of the people that really pushed our book was people that did not have our skin color, but that just wanted to bring awareness to the story. So we were able to do a lot of fundraising events, or awareness within our city. And because of the book, my children became children's ambassador for Canadian Blood Services as well. So, and out of that, we were able, for our local basketball team, our Ottawa Blackjack, We were able to push for a whole year our book and sickle cell through our city basketball team. So we really saw the momentum when it came to when we published the book, really to push awareness to uh, awareness to sickle cell. But the most importantly, our biggest impact was other diseases. So we had people who had children who had leukemia. We had children who was going through type 2 diabetes, came to us and like, oh, thank you for the book. I know it doesn't talk about my particular disease that I'm going through, but just the fact that I'm able to see myself as a superhero, it it touched our heart. So not only we're touching our sickle cell community, but we could also touch many other communities that may not necessarily have a voice. So that's one of the impact, some of the impact of our book.
That is incredible. For me, when I went to one of my daughter's doctor's appointments, the doctor told me that he had given out my book, The Ultimate Sickle Cell Activity Book, to his patients. And he said, one patient brought the book back and said, I have some questions about my care from things that he had read in the book. And it helped to spark new questions. And to me, that was the ultimate compliment, because that's what I really intended. I really wanted young people to be able to take ownership of their health, to learn their body, learn how to partner with their team. And so, for me, that said, don't stop. This is something you want to continue doing. And along those lines, I am curious, as we wrap this session up, what is next for you in your journey? How will you keep writing and, keep making an impact in the community, which you just touched on?
I know for me, we are releasing our second book, talking about self-publishing. After the book was released, we actually got a publisher that came to us and asked us if we would want to write more books about our superhero family. So out of that, we were able to find a publisher that's not going to release a few books with the same kind of, I don't know if you guys could see, but this is the book right here. I don't know, with the background, it might be very hard to see. But anyways, so right now we just completed our second book and we're writing our third book. And we're all of our books, they all have an aspect of sickle cell, a blood transfusion, or so I write in each book about sickle cell, but it doesn't necessarily say sickle cell. A person that has sickle cell will read it and be like, oh, I know exactly what it's talking about, but somebody else who may not have sickle cell might just read it just to kind of read it, might not see exactly what it's saying. So so we're excited to know that we're going to be publishing our second book, and we've signed with a publisher here in Canada to be able to publish more books. So that's what's next.
Congratulations. That is
Thank you.
huge. We are so proud of you.
Thank you.
While the next two people are sharing, I want all of you to put how to get your books in the chat so people will know how to support you. But go ahead and share.
Um, well, actually, I'm in the process of marketing the first book. We're working on, I already have the second book written, but we're spaced out based on publishing trends on when that's coming. So, but I mean, the thing about it, and I'll show it to you guys here. But I have this cat that I ended up getting for my daughter, and so ultimately, I don't like the cat. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I tolerate the cat for my daughter, and the cat, for whatever reason, because I don't pay it any attention, it loves me. It wants to be around me all the time. I'm like, please just leave me alone. so, but so I'm self-publishing. I'm very proud to hear that Naomi has a publisher, and I'm sure Jenica's like, hey, don't forget about me over here. I need one too, you know. But yeah, no, you just gotta keep going. I mean, I have this book will be a series, just as well as Naomi's book is a series. And I'm sure Jenica has books, and they probably can be classified as a series as well. So I mean, we just got to keep putting it out there and keep letting people look at it. I mean, and right now it's the Cap Nose Cat book, but like Nohami mentioned, we can have superheroes. We do have superheroes, and these kids need to know that they can be superheroes because we are warriors. We're some of the strongest people on earth, whether they believe it or not. We are. We fall down, but we get back up.
So for me, I feel like the third book has been coming for the last how many years? I've just been so busy doing other things that I haven't been able to kind of isolate the time to actually release it. I actually intended for there to be four books in the series with a potential fifth. So they're all written. I just need to work on getting them, produced and illustrated and everything like that. So there will be more in the My Friend Jen series, in addition to the two that are already available. And we do have plans to kind of go move on from that series and just follow Jen into the young adolescent kind of age group and do some books around that. And I'm also working on another project for adults, which I won't share too much of because we have a publisher. But that will hopefully be targeted at, adults just trying to navigate the space, living with sickle cell, not just with sickle cell, but other chronic illnesses as well. So I'm excited. I'm still writing and my brain's still, active. And I think the more that I do, the more places I go, the more people that I connect with from the sickle cell community, it just gives more inspiration and more ideas of how we can create more resources like books and things to share. And we need more. We definitely need more books. There is room for all of us. So everyone in the chat that is saying, I've got an idea and I want to write, just write the book and get it done. And I'm sure everyone on here is willing to give help and support, like reach out to us, but we need more books in this space. The more we have, it's not just for now, it also then becomes a part of history. So there will be a collection of books about sickle cell. How awesome would that be? So yeah.
On that note, I want to say, I had a question because sometimes people are like, oh, well, there's one book or two books, but we often see a library that is full of books. Just like when we go to the grocery store, we see different types of milks, we see different types of yogurt, all different types of things. So we need more, just like you said. But why is it important to center lived experiences in books? Why why are books so important and central to our lives?
I would say it gives validation to the experience that we go through. I've spent the last couple of weeks at congresses with, researchers and scientists, and as awesome as it is to kind of be thinking of how to create treatments and things like that for sickle cell, the thing that's always missed is the lived experience, the quality of life. What are the things that we care about as patients? And so I really feel like when we're able to put our experiences, our stories into books, it gives them the opportunity to bring the gene that they're editing or researching to life. It gives a human kind of touch to what they're doing. So as much as, our books can't be used as research or whatever, but if anyone that is doing something in the field of sickle cell reads one of our books, sees how empowering it is to have superpowers, to be strong, to go into a different dimension, ultimately we're showing them that sickle cell is so difficult to deal with that we just want to get away, we want to do this. So it's humanizing the experience. And I think that's important for everyone. It's empowering for us as patients, but it's also really informative for anyone that's researching or that doesn't know what that experience is like. They can actually get an idea of what it's like from everything that we're creating. And we know sickle cell impacts everyone differently. So the more books we have sharing all of our different experiences, the more opportunities we have to kind of, improve our outcomes. I think I always look at, science and things as well, but I think it's good in that sense.
Hey, everybody, if you have a question for our panel, please add it to the chat or you can put it in the Q&A and I will ask it. But I think, this has just been empowering and encouraging. I see some comments in the chat from different people. There's some authors in the audience. If you're an author and you're in the audience, please feel free to share a link to your book so we can support you as well. Because I know this community is so intelligent and amazing. And, you talked about validation. So often, people who are sickle cell warriors are mistreated in different instances. But when we show that, we have these books, we can put the truth in books and it can go further than, our speech. It can really open up doors and shed new light. Like Naomi said, the people who are supporting her book aren't even people in this particular community. And that is huge. That is how we build allies. That is how we strengthen the knowledge. That's how we get the word out about what sickle cell is so that people really understand this global disease. That's also helpful in prevention, in changing the trajectory of this disease. So we all have a space. It is not, unique for one group of people. It is for all of us. This is something that is attainable for every single person. If this is your desire, it's something that you can do and you are worthy. Because sometimes we get in our own way and say, I don't feel like I'm an expert, but we are experts of our own experiences. So write what you know, what you understand. And we definitely encourage you to do that. I don't see any questions in the chat. So at this time, I want each of the authors, if there's something that you want to share with the audience, please share it at this time with them.
So I do, as I've self-published my book, but I also have a publishing house where I help people just to along their journey to self-publish their own books as well. And so if anyone is interested in knowing like where to start, what to do, what steps to take, I will be doing a workshop at the end of June. So reach out to I put the My Friend Jen Instagram in the chat. Just reach out. It's free and it's just, free help, just free support, free motivation, inspiration, everything. So, and there's lots of people out there that are willing to support, as I said. So, yeah.
Awesome. For me, what I would like to say is just let's keep on fighting this fight together. I know there's moments where it could be harder, especially when we have to juggle many things at the same time. Right? Some of us we're authors, but we're mothers. We're dealing with the disease ourselves. We have multiple hats, and sometimes it could be very tiring to be able to fight this fight and bring awareness, but still have to deal with the same pain in our lives, in our bodies, in our families. And I just want to encourage everyone to have grace for yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself and continue to do the fight, no matter what capacity you're able to. Some of us, we might be able to write books and do this, and some of us, we might just be able to go to the hospital and making sure that we keep on having hope, right? And some of us is making sure we have a smile on our face as our children are going through this. So no matter what capacity that you have in this present day, continue to fight, continue to have hope. And I think as a community, we're doing such a great job to bring awareness and to support one another. And I want us to continue because there's a brand new generation of people coming in, and for the work that we've already have done, we've already set the foundation. These moments like this and writing books and talking about it is such a great foundation for them to stand on and see all of the progress and see the hope that's coming. So thank you, everyone.
I think lastly, I just want to say we are warriors and we're stronger together. At the end of the day, we are strong together. We're stronger leaning on one another and finding out what works best or what's the best thing to do. We don't always have all the answers, but there's always many people to ask. It's not just you. It's a lot of people. People go through different stages in life, And this is where we're at this time. And if we can be of any help, then we definitely will be. I think that's the big positive thing, is that we are willing to work with one another and help one another. And you don't always have that in communities. And in our community currently, we're all disjointed in some way. But I think that's one thing I can say about the sickle cell community, is that we always try to help each other and work to make each other stronger, because we all understand that life every day is not promised. So for me, I use humor for everything, and my wife hates it, but it is what it is. Sometimes you gotta laugh through the pain, and that's what it comes down to. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to be part of this. As you're hearing noise in the background, I'm getting ready to get out of here. Man, I've learned so much just being an author, sitting on this roundtable with some great, amazing authors. Just to know that there's a lot of other people out here representing us. Thank you. You are muted, Carly.
Thank you to each of you. This has been terrific. And I know, just sitting on a panel with you, it is like just a breath of fresh air. Janika, I actually met you many, many years ago. Um, it was on a radio station, a BBC World Radio. We were on a show together. It was the two of us talking about sickle cell disease. It was right after gene therapy had first been
Okay.
released. And so this is a full circle moment to be here today. It was right after you had published your very first book. And so it's been amazing. And just to all of you, one thing that I notice, people often tell me, like when I'm traveling and I'm speaking, they'll say, hey, I had a sickle cell book, and it's usually from one of your books. They'll say, I did a story time for my kid in the class. And I get that all the time. And so in this community, we have to continue to support each other, continue to do those story times, continue to educate our public by, buying books for different local schools, because we want the kids, not just those whose parents come to meetings like this, but those whose parents have are struggling with sickle cell disease. We want their families to feel like there is community and solidarity. And so we have to really kind of step up and buy those books and put them in the schools in our communities so that they have that information and education. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you. I know Chris had to go, but thank you for your time. Thank you for being so candid and so transparent and honest about your journey. And I know people will reach out and follow you on your different channels and support your book. So we appreciate you, and thank you for giving us your time today, wherever you are in this world. Because I know I'm in the US. Where are you? Just say it really quickly before we sign off.
I'm in Canada in a province called Quebec, and my city is called Gatineau.
Great. I'm in the UK currently. I'm counting down 2 more weeks and then I'm going to be home in Jamaica. So
Well, enjoy, and thank you for this time.
thank you.
What a wonderful panel. Um, I I I absolutely love it. We started with media. That's one form. We have these wonderful authors. That's another form. I think is excellent, and it's growing. The number of books that you all are churning out is growing, and it's lovely. So I do hope to meet you all at some point in time. So thank you for joining.